Abusive and aggressive people can struggle with managing symptoms of anxiety. And in fact, it's usually their inability to control their anxiety that leads to their impulsive reactions. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones, and I spent many years working with abusive and aggressive people, as well as people who've done other bad things. One of the things that I've noticed over the years and working with, people that have been incarcerated for their abusive or aggressive behavior is that many of them struggle with anxiety to the point of needing medication. Usually on the street, when left to their own devices out in the free world, they're not going to take medications. What they will do is they will try to self-medicate. So it's not uncommon for abusive people to try to self-medicate their anxiety through marijuana, through alcohol, through escapism or avoidance behaviors, and that's where pornography comes in, gaming, gambling, other things that manifest into addictions. Addictions are often thought of as a problem, which is true to a certain extent, but what an addiction is a problematic coping behavior. So that's why you see, people trying to self-medicate their mood symptoms, whether it be anxiety or even depression, and a lot of times they coexist. Because once you've been drinking and drugging, for a long time, you deplete yourself of dopamine. And so you're going to have, some pretty significant depressive symptoms and so forth. The other thing, that's why a lot of abusers are very codependent and don't like being alone. They'll never tell you this, but a lot of times they're using you to help them self-regulate. Sure, they take out their anger and their frustrations on you, but a lot of abusive people are terrified of being alone. Despite them self-sabotaging and pushing people away, a lot of them don't like to go places, even to the store, a short trip, or too far away from home sometimes, because they don't like to be away from things an environment or situation that they can control and that's familiar to them. When they get into unfamiliar, uncharted territory, that scares them. And so a lot of times abusive people will keep their world very small. And by them being codependent on you, they expect you to keep your world very small also, so that you can be there to, bend for them whenever they need you to, and cater to them and whatever their desires are. One of the ways that you guys can see a person, an potentially abusive person that struggles with their anxiety. I'm sure a lot of you have watched those so-called dating shows where, there's a line of women or a line of men that a person has to choose from. A lot of times that person, has to listen to that line of people that rejects them for whatever reason. You can actually see it building, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, and whatnot, when you see them sort of clenching their fist, when they become very disrespectful and harsh in their comebacks, and then they start to, the aggression starts to build. And so rejection can definitely be a trigger to anxiety. Rejection, embarrassment, and shame, and all of those feelings quickly turn into rage, anger, and frustration, and they really need someone to take it out on. If you ever see somebody who's like, I can't go somewhere without my wife or my husband, they're very codependent because they need, they need regulation with their anxiety. There's a good chance that person deals with anger and could be potentially very dangerous, and might even be dangerous behind closed doors. Thanks so much.